Welcome to Next Level Leadership. We're in the third block of teachings, the final block of teachings for this course. And today's video snippet is how to develop people around you. A very important aspect of leadership, to be sure. And as we go through this lesson today, I'd like us to think in terms, as far as illustration, think in terms of teaching a child to ride a bike. You probably remember when you learned how to ride a bike, and maybe if you've been a parent or an aunt or an uncle, you've had the opportunity to teach a child how to ride a bike, and so maybe that'll give us something to relate to. How to develop people around you. I've got a list of 7 things. They all begin with the letter E. Here we go. Number 1, engage. That means to stir an interest. So if you've got a child and you want him to learn how to ride a bike, you show him the older kids riding and how much fun that they're having. You show them their big brother. Look at your big brother out riding his bike. You make the experience look fun. You make it look appealing. You want them to be willing to invest in it. You impart joy and passion. We used to have a weatherman around here. His name was George Kessler. And the guy was so enthusiastic about weather. I enjoyed watching him just because of his passion and his enthusiasm for weather. I didn't understand half of what he was saying, but he was at least enthusiastic about it, that it made it fun to watch. So we need to impart that to those around us. Impart joy and passion. You know, a question that we should ask ourselves is, do we make Christianity look like fun? We have a fairly new attender of the church. And my wife and I took her out to eat recently. And I asked her the question, well, what brings you to Central Assembly? What was it that brought you to Central Assembly? And she said, I would be on Facebook and I would see all these young adults talking about church, and it sounded like a fun place to be. Man, you want to do a pastor's heart good? Say something like that. We need to make Christianity and we need to make church sound like fun. So number 1, engage, stir an interest. Number 2, encourage. Give confidence. Provoke them to good works. Say you can do this. Impart courage. That's what encourage means, to impart courage. Remind them of past successes. You could say to a child who wants to learn how to ride a bike, you could say, I know you have good balance. You'll do well with this. Remind them of past successes. Long before I ever sang publicly, the thing that brought me to that next step was people telling me I have a good voice. So remind them of past successes and they're more likely to take the next step. Remind them of smaller tasks completed well. So the people that you're asking to step up into new levels of leadership, remind them of what they've done and what they've done well. So number 1 is engage. Number 2 is encourage or impart courage. Number 3 is equip. Learn what it's like. You help them to learn what it's like, but you don't leave them on their own yet. You're equipping them. If it's riding a bike, you give them training wheels, you give them a smaller bike, you give them a helmet. People will do what they feel qualified to do, and they'll avoid situations where failure is probable. So you put them in a position to succeed. You equip them. You create a safe environment. You can learn here without public embarrassment. That's a feeling you want to create. I know when I took my teenagers that were about to get their driver's license, in the weeks before they would go for their driving lessons, I would take them out in a remote part of town, out by the cemetery, and I would let them drive the car through those cemetery roads. I figured they could only do so much damage there. Everybody was already dead. But that was a part of a safe environment where they wouldn't be embarrassed publicly by making a mistake. Here's a great saying for you. Think about this. Our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we knew we could be. Our chief want is someone who will inspire us to be what we knew we could be. Number 4, empower. To empower speaks of momentum and motion, power. We tell the child on the bike, I'm running alongside you and I'm holding on. You're pedaling and you're steering, but I'm holding on. It's a controlled place of experience where success is sure. Number 5, enable. We enable them to succeed. At some point in that bike riding process, it's time to let go and just be the safety net. So now you've let go of the bike, but you're running alongside in case they need you. I can help you if you stumble. You can still feel safe. It's a place to build confidence. So we enable them to succeed. Number 6, we entrust. That means it's time to fly solo. It's true in the realm of the bike illustration. It's time for the training wheels to come off. You have the aptitude and the equipment and the training. It's time to ride by yourself. It's true in the realm of leadership as well. Sometimes we have to entrust the ministry over to someone else. We endeavor to give tasks given under diminishing degrees of supervision. We're entrusting with appropriate degrees of authority and influence and decision-making power. And that's not easy for some, to relinquish decision-making power. But it's all a part of entrusting people with leadership and developing the people around you. And finally, number 7, embrace. Support in failure and coach in victory. As far as the bike riding illustration, we comfort them when they fall. We put a Band-Aid on the knee, a kiss for the forehead, and a hug for the ego. Not unlike failure in ministry. We give tips for improvement and added efficiency. You know, Tom Landry, famous coach of the Dallas Cowboys, said that he coached more after a victory than he did after a loss. He said after a loss, they knew they had to improve. But after a victory, he wanted to give them tips for improvement and efficiency that maybe they weren't likely to discover on their own because they were coming off a victory. We give affirming words during times of difficulty. We want them to learn from mistakes and give them ways to avoid similar mistakes in the future. How to be better still. We want them to answer that question. We want to give them areas that can be improved upon. And at the same time, help them to build on what was done well. It's all about developing the people around you. Eugene Ware said, all glory comes from daring to begin. You know, that child will never learn how to ride a bike without those early steps. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So all glory comes from daring to begin. So as far as developing the people around you, you engage them, you stir an interest. Second, you encourage them, you impart courage to them. Number 3, you equip them. Number 4, you empower them. Number 5, you enable them to succeed. Number 6, you entrust responsibility and decision-making power to them. And number 7, you embrace them. You support them in failure and you coach them in victory. That's how to develop people around you. Hey, once again, God bless you and thanks for being a part of these video teachings. I pray that they've been a blessing to you. I pray that they've been profitable to you. And thanks again for listening. God bless you.